Hi, my name is Harris, and I talk about why I'm not so hairy. Welcome back to the Hairy Not So Hairy podcast. As you can see, I'm in a different location for this video because I have a special guest. Ta-da! My special guest is my mom.
Hi.
You gotta put the microphone.
Here we go. Hi.
Today, I'm going to be asking my mom a couple of questions on what it's like to be the parent of a child with alopecia. So, for this episode, I'm going to be wearing my wig because my mom really likes when I wear hair for some reason.
I do.
And why?
Huh?
Put the mic closer.
Okay. I got it. Okay.
Why? Why do you like when I wear my wig versus
Well,
when I'm bald?
Harris, I love you and I accept you anyway. But just for me, we live in a society that likes hair. Period. Especially in the African American community. And this is a time where people who have hair are wearing wigs. So I just think it's a good time for you and even other people with alopecia to, wear wigs. It's in fashion. Also, because you are 23 years old, I worry about who you're going to attract. We've had this conversation. You don't like it when I say it, but we've had this conversation. I worry about who you're going to attract. Walking around as a bald woman, I feel like you're going to attract older men. Um, and I don't think you're going to attract anybody your age. I don't know if they're mature enough to handle the baldness. I take you anywhere, anyway. But I want you to be I want you to be happy first and foremost. But I do think that you need to wear hair sometimes. That's just how I feel.
And this is where we clash because I just don't agree with that. I love like not wearing the wig, and I think that I can still attract guys that are like my age and not just older
So
men.
when's the last time you went on a date?
I told you that's my
I know
business.
that's your business, but I ain't seen you bring nobody home.
Okay, because it's
I
my
ain't seen nobody at dinner.
business. That's
So
my
that
business.
concerns me. And so I wonder, is it, you know, the walking around bald at 23 years old that is not allowing you to attract men? And
But
I know this will be controversial. So if you guys want to you know, give your 2 cents, that's fine. Like I said, I love my daughter, but I do think that sometimes she does need to wear hair.
and so like this kind of becomes a problem for me though because in my head I try and get myself out of that like you're not as beautiful like
No, I
without the
don't mean
wigs.
that.
I know, but listen, you're not as beautiful without the wigs or like you look like much older without them. I want to be comfortable the way that I am. So like
Right.
and since I've gotten comfortable not wearing them, it's just like it's honestly helped my self-esteem is so much lower. Honestly, when I wear the wigs, it's so much lower because it's just not comfortable and I just don't
But you wear
feel
fake eyelashes. What's the difference?
because that's comfortable for me.
Right.
That's the difference. It's comfortable for me. The wig just aren't that I've never honestly like it's just not like
So now you make
comfortable
me
for
feel
me.
like an abusive parent because when you first got alopecia, we started with the wigs.
But I
And
don't
you
think
and you wore wigs from age, what were you, 12, 13 when you got alopecia? And then now you're 23. So you've worn wigs for 10 years. Then all of a sudden you say, okay, I'm free. I don't want to wear them anymore. Which, okay, you're grown. So you don't have to deal with me anymore. But um, it to me, it's just society. Should we always give into society? No. But I do think that there are some societal norms. I'm sure in today's society, a lot of people would disagree with me, and that's okay. But I would really like for some guys to chime in if they're watching this podcast. I would really love to hear what they have to say. Because, like I say, my daughter is beautiful, But I promise you, I ain't seen her with no man, and that just
But did you
concerns
see me
me.
with a bunch of guys when I was wearing the wigs?
No, you did have a steady boyfriend for a while, but we're
But
not gonna talk about that. Okay, but go ahead. You said you want to ask me some questions, so go ahead and
yes.
ask me some
So we're
questions.
going to get into the first question.
Okay.
So, my first question is, what was your first thought when I first had that bald spot at the hairdresser?
Okay, so you were in fifth grade, and I remember you were getting ready to go to the spring dance at West Side Elementary. So fifth grade was like your last year of elementary school, so it was a really big deal. You looked so pretty, and we were at the hairdresser, and the hairdresser just kind of tapped me and said, "Hey, Harris has a bald spot right there." Didn't think too much of it. It was very small. Just kind of tucked it in the back of my mind. Um, but like I said, when I initially was introduced to the bald spot, didn't think it was a big deal. I didn't see other hair like coming out or anything, and it seemed it. I was just kind of curious, like what's going on.
Okay, so the second question is, so what was your first kind of thoughts when I was diagnosed with alopecia? Like, what did you think?
Well, after we had the first bald spot, things moved very, very quickly after that. Um, we had the bald spot, and I'm gonna say maybe like a week or so later, more hair started coming out. But what really frightened me is when I was combing your hair and it was coming out in clumps. It wasn't like, just combing and maybe a few strands. It was like handfuls. And it scared me to death because immediately I thought you were sick and I didn't know what to do. So when we took you to the doctor, and that's a whole nother issue, Harris, you have to have a podcast about that,
You will.
about the many doctors that we went to. But when I took you to a very famous doctor here in Atlanta, one of the oldest black dermatologists, and he said it's alopecia. There's no cure. Well, I had never heard of alopecia first, and the fact that it had no cure scared me. So I was really afraid. Um, I cried a whole lot, and I think I mourned your hair. You've always been very strong about this. You didn't really. I don't know. I still can't read you, but I took this harder than you did. I've always been a big fan of hair. I've always had my own full head of hair. So I just took it really hard. So much so I had to have a therapist.
And I think it's really interesting because she's saying like she took it so hard and all this stuff. And as a kid, I didn't know about any of that. I honestly did not see either of my parents like struggling. And I think I mean, you did that on purpose, I would assume, right?
Right. I felt that I had to be strong for you. Um so I hid my emotion around you, and I made sure that I did everything to make you comfortable. And that's when I really got into the whole wig thing because, as a child, you were always very active. Harris played soccer. She swam. She played golf. Um, she played basketball. What other sport did we have you in?
I did volleyball for a little bit.
I
Um,
don't even remember the volleyball,
those were the main
the ones
ones.
that you really liked, it was swimming and soccer
And golf.
and golf. Um, so I felt very challenged as a parent in figuring out, okay, how do I keep my kid active with these sports with now dealing with baldness? And the other part of that was I'm very happy, especially now that Harris has alopecia areata universalis, because we didn't have to deal with the patches in the beginning when it was first kind of patchy. It was very hard to figure out, okay, how do we cover this thing up? The very first thing I did was had someone to make a handmade wig. And that was our solution for a little while because she did have a little hair up there. But one summer, or the summer after she had been diagnosed with the alopecia, She was laying in bed. We had a babysitter here who's my goddaughter, Kiana. And when Harris got up, the wig fell off. So that was very earth shattering. But like I said, she handled it like a trooper. My goddaughter Kiana, again, who was babysitting, called me crying and screaming. But again, she did the same thing I did. She was being very strong for Harris. She actually went into a room and was freaking out so that Harris wouldn't see her.
And this is my first time hearing of this. I did not know that
Yeah,
she was freaking out either.
yeah,
And like, I want to touch on, you said that I handled it like a trooper. And I think that's because, and I've talked about this in a past episode, you already had like wigs and stuff for me. Because you
yeah,
were always like super proactive. So she already had wigs. So I think I just went in the bathroom and I guess started like experimenting with the wigs at that point.
yeah,
And then that was that.
yeah. Because I just went on this mission to like have every kind of wig hairstyle that you can think of, and I even bought the little mannequin heads. I bought every kind of, wig shampoo, wig brushes. What's the thing that's supposed to hold the wigs on? Wig bands. We had tape. Um, I do want to give a shout out to an organization. What's the name of the place I used to take you for the wigs?
Oh,
Okay, we'll have to look it up and I'll mention them next time. But there's an
hair
organization,
club.
Hair Club. Hair they call it's known as Hair Club for men. But actually Hair Club is a very good charity for children under 18 who are experiencing balding or alopecia. So I found this out. Like I said, I was doing research like crazy. And Harris was able to get these very expensive wigs for no money basically, and she did that from like 15 to 17, these beautiful hand, and they were very expensive wigs. So that was very helpful because it kept her glammed up. And I'm sure we have some pictures that Harris can probably share with you. But shout out to Hair Club for Men because they do this for all children who are experiencing hair loss. And that really helped us because she had the opportunity to go to the salon as if she still had hair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the beauticians were just very, very sensitive, and that played a big role in our mental health. It really did.
Yeah. I remember that being like one of my favorite things because like you were saying, I got to go to the salon and they would like put the hair on me and like wash it and style it on me so it felt like I was at the salon. So I really enjoyed that
I
experience.
enjoyed it too. That's one of the reasons why I like her having the hair.
For my next question, I kind of want to know more specifically of like what were some of your fears when I was diagnosed?
Um, Again, that kind of goes back to society and how society and especially the black community views hair. I thought that Harris was not going to be accepted. I thought people were going to look at her as if she was sick. I thought people would shun her, like, oh, here comes the bald girl. I thought she would be the butt of jokes. Um, all of those things. I didn't want anybody to think she was a freak or anything like that. So, those were my concerns. But again, Harris remained very social, very active. And like I said, she's been a trooper through the whole process because at some point, I'm gonna say when she was like 13 or 14, she got tired of the stare. She got tired of people talking about is she wearing a wig or is she not. And she just went on social media one day and just told everybody what she had, gave the definition, and just said to hell with it at like 13. Didn't ask me and daddy for permission or anything. And when you talk about liberating events, that was liberating for her because her friends no longer had to guess. Now, we also, I'm skipping a lot of things because with Harris's alopecia, she did do like several treatments that required her to get shots in her head. They were very painful. But we were right there with her. Her whole family would go. She would
Yep.
cry and scream, and but we would encourage her to do it. And we did have, I think, at least 2 times where her hair grew back. Right?
Yeah.
Was it twice?
Twice.
And each time the hair was beautiful, and it looked very permanent, like it wasn't falling out. And then you'd have one day where boom, it would just all fall out again. And we experienced that when she was at some of her friends' house one time. I don't know how old you were. I don't know how old you were. But some of her good friends that she has been friends with since she was a baby, they happen to be twins, and she spent the night at their house. And she was going through a period where the hair was coming out again. Um, did what happened? Did the wig fall
I
off, or
don't
you don't remember?
know. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm
Um,
listening to this story too.
okay, so I think she had her hair on, and somehow hair started coming out while she was there. Because when it comes out rapidly.
Mhm.
And she didn't have a wig. We used to pack, just like somebody packs an extra pair of underwear. I would pack like extra wigs or scarf or something for her. But for some reason, on this particular trip, uh, um, spending the night with her friends, she didn't pack a wig. So her friends and their parents witnessed like the hair falling out, and they were all freaked out. Okay. The mother of her friends, called me just like Kiana, just kind of freaking out, like her hair's gone, her hair's gone. They gave her a cap to put on, and Harris was holding it all together. And when I got there that morning to pick her up, I went inside, I gave her wig, she went in. I mean, the family was terrified. She put her wig on. She came out. I said, Harris, let them know you're okay. She went and gave everybody a hug and kiss and said she was okay. But again, her friends and their parents were very, very worried about her.
I don't remember
But she handled it
this.
like a trooper. Yes. Yes, that happened one night. You don't. I can't believe you don't remember that.
No, I don't remember.
Yeah. I bet
Interesting.
they remember.
They probably do. So my next question is, what's kind of like your perception of me now? Like from middle school to like where I am now with alopecia. How do you feel now?
Well, okay, number one, I'm so proud of you, Harris. I mean,
Thank you.
because you've always been Harris was such a good kid, and she was so easy to raise. She's like a sponge. She soaks everything up. She's fearless. Like, this was my guinea pig child because she was our first child and she was an only child for 6 years. Me and my husband put her in every event that we could find in Atlanta. Harris did acting. She did modeling. We told you
Dance.
about all the sports. First sport was basketball.
Dance.
She did dance, which she hated. I have a story about that. But she's always been very strong willed, and she got that honest because I'm strong willed. Um, but she's always just been such a great kid, and she has handled this, really, really well. Um, so right now, how do I see it? Right now, she's a little bit too liberated for me. Okay, this whole ball thing, it takes some getting used to for me as well. And like I said, I'm concerned because 23 is like the time of your life. You're not gonna get that back. Okay, the skin that you have at 23, the youthfulness, she's not gonna get that back. So I want her to live her best life. But it's also when you start looking for a mate, and I don't want her to lose out on this time. Um, I know that my daughter is beautiful, but again, going by societal norms, I just think I think she needs to take that into consideration because when all of her friends are all booed up, she may not be, because she may not be able to find, her knight in shining armor, because he's not mature enough to handle, a bald 23-year-old. So right now she's a little too liberated for me. She's a little too happy about this whole thing for me. This is the first time since when that I've gotten her to put on a wig. Okay? First time
Since like
in months,
January.
since
So
January.
it's been
She's
like
had on a
eight
wig.
months. Yeah.
So I'm really surprised that she's sitting
And
here
I'm
with it
gonna
on
take
right
it off
now.
as soon as
Okay.
I leave.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so for our last question, I just want you to give some advice to other parents of kids with alopecia.
Um, well, the first thing, as you can see, Harris's self-esteem is very intact. And I think
For the most part.
being prepared, what, you got self-esteem issues?
I think I just take it one day at a time.
So you have self-esteem issues now, or did you have some when you were younger?
I mean, I think both. I
Really?
think both, yeah.
You never
But
showed
not,
that.
I mean, most days I don't, I would say.
Okay.
Most days I don't, but like some days are just harder than others. I feel like everyone has days like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But I would say be prepared. Like, do your research. Keep a open have open conversation with your child about it. Don't ignore it. Look for different resources. If you haven't done hair club, do hair club. They do girls and boys, and I just thought that was the best thing. Um, and just love them unconditionally. I do have a very interesting story about Harris, and it tells you a little bit about her resilience. When she was playing soccer, um, we purchased these headband wigs, and she was a big fan. I mean, we had every style of headband wig.
Because they're the most comfortable.
Okay. And we got them for her to play soccer because they were the tightest wigs we could think of without doing glue or anything like that. So I would recommend headband wigs if you're the parent of a female alopecia. But Harris was out there playing soccer one day, and she was always a very hard soccer player. I mean,
I was
she
a
would
defender.
she would mow other girls
Okay,
down. Okay,
okay.
to the point where
Not
the
too
parents
much.
would make like, ooh, she thinks she's
Okay.
on the football field, stuff like that. It was really fun to watch her.
Okay.
But on this particular day, she was playing hard, doing her thing, and her wig fell off. And in the middle of playing, Harris stopped and she looked at the sidelines, and without opening her mouth, it was like, what do I do? I don't even remember if she mouthed it. She just looked at me. And I said, pick it up. And Harris picked her wig up, put it back on her head, and kept running and playing as if nothing had happened. And I sat there and I cried my eyes out.
I don't remember.
Me and her father, because we were like, oh my gosh, she did it. Because I don't know how many people would have been strong enough to do that. I think most people would have stopped playing, picked up the wig, and just sat on the sidelines, or acted like they didn't see the wig and just ran over to their parents or something. I'm not sure. But for her to actually stop, pick it up, put it back on her head, and just keep focusing on the game, I knew she was made out of something that a lot of people are not made out of. And that's not even my proudest moment of her, but that is one of the proudest. I adore my Harris. I really do. But when she did that, that was just really awesome. Kids are much more resilient. I think this affected my mental health more than her because, like I
I
said, I
think
had a
so too.
therapist, and I told her, I wanted her to have somebody to talk to. She refused. I don't need to talk to anybody. I'm okay. Oh, another time that Harris really showed me resilience was because we went to a lot of different doctors, and even though that first doctor was the one to say she has alopecia, there's no cure. I couldn't take that. Like, okay, it's modern America. You know, no cure. That just didn't make sense to me. And so we were at the um, children's healthcare of Atlanta, which is one of the hospitals here. And we were going to see another specialist. But as we were going to see this doctor, we had to go through the wings where there were like really sick children being pushed in wheelchairs, children who had IVs on them. And at some point, Harris just looked at me and she said, "Ma, I'm not sick." And, that was really earth shattering to me because I was like, you know what? She's not. This is not a cancer diagnosis. This is not a death sentence. You can buy hair. That was my attitude. You can buy, even though she won't wear it now, you can buy it. But that's when I had a turning point with my thought process. And I had to keep telling myself, you know what? We ain't taking no pills. She's not sick. Her body is fine. And I think after that I just kind of, changed my attitude with it. I always kept, backup wig. I was constantly ordering wigs. She always had new wigs. She had a new wig, what, every 2 weeks?
Like, even when I didn't want them.
Yeah, correct.
Like,
That's correct.
that's something we would fight and argue about. Like, I
Right.
wouldn't want them and she would still buy them for me.
Right. That's correct. But I always just wanted her to be prepared, and I liked the reaction of seeing the new wig, because lots of times she did not like the styles I liked.
I talked
But I
about that
really
before.
got a kick out of it when I picked something and she hated it in the package or when she saw a picture of it. But then when she put on, she was like, "Okay, wait a minute. I think I can rock this."
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So, but yeah, she's very strong.
Any other advice or anything you want to
No,
say?
just research, be prepared, talk to your kids, see if they need a, therapy or somebody to talk to. Um, Keep an eye on their friends, who they're hanging out with. Yeah, that would be my advice.
Yeah.
That's it.
I want to thank my mom so much for being today's
Oh,
guest.
thank you for having me. Please have me again. This has been a lot of fun.
I will. And please like, comment, and subscribe for more. Bye.